And host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke, joins me now for more. Galen, new poll numbers suggest Vice President Harris is ahead of former President Trump in the key states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Now, Trump's campaign is now railing against that poll, saying it was intended to understate support for Trump. Is there any evidence to support that? Is there something going on with this poll? And how significant is the poll itself?
Absolutely not. The New York Times polling is some of the best polling in the industry. 538 looks at this regularly, and they have a very strong track record. There's a bit of wisdom in this industry, which is if you're arguing against the polls, you might be losing. We heard the Biden campaign arguing against the polls for much of this year when it showed him trailing or barely pulling even nationally. And now the shoe is on the other foot. But of course, what a campaign ought to be doing is making their pitch to Americans and trying to improve their standing. That's not to say that the polls are always accurate. In fact, on average, the polls can be off about 3 to 4 points nationally in a presidential election. But taking issue with individual polls in this manner is rarely going to be ultimately valuable to your campaign. But what this does show, this polling from the New York Times shows, Harris up by 4 points in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We'd seen already national polling, high-quality national polls, showing Harris pulling ahead of Trump. But this is the whole game. These blue wall states, these northern battleground states being up by 4, that's really significant. And it shows a reshaped race. And put, they're arguing there's an oversample of Democrats or whatever aside for a moment. What you see if you look in the crosstabs and sort of why this change might be happening is Harris's favorability is up significantly. Enthusiasm amongst Democrats alone is up almost 30 percentage points. The fact of the matter is that this is a changed race, and the Trump campaign is almost arguing against itself, saying not wanting to acknowledge the reality.
Now, there has been some infighting among conservatives over this playbook to reshape the federal government called Project 2025. Trump's campaign has disavowed the project. A growing majority of Americans disapprove of it. So what are you seeing in terms of sentiment toward Project 2025? Is there a shift happening here? And what are you seeing in terms of Trump's strategy related to it?
Oh boy, is it not popular. So according to recent polling, about 70 to 80% of Americans have actually heard of Project 2025. That means that Democrats who have campaigned against it and tried to raise the salience of the issue have been relatively effective at getting Americans to pay attention. And when you look at what is the favorability rating of those kinds of proposals, Project 2025 overall, more than 30 percentage points underwater. And some of those specific policy proposals like firing federal employees and replacing them with political appointees or withdrawing federal approval for the medication mifepristone, things like that, very unpopular. Other things more popular, like beefing up border security. But I think Trump knows that this set of policies is unpopular and has been trying to distance himself from it and even campaign against it because it doesn't want to become a vulnerability for him, much the way that Harris has taken vulnerabilities for her, like immigration and even, no tax on tips, and tried to work them to her advantage.
All right. Host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke. Galen, thank you.
Thank you.